We are SimplePlan Media, a branding and web design consultancy based right here in New Delhi, India. In the last episode of Building an Indian D2C Brand, the team logged in the final art direction for Sharmeeli, a sub-brand of Amalta's Couture. After navigating multiple iterations and balancing bold creative ideas with the client's vision, they arrived at a visual language that felt both rooted and refreshing. Today, the team moves on to shaping the most foundational asset of the brand, the logo. Because now that the voice and personality are in place, it's time to give Sharmeeli a face. Want to know how we do it? Hit subscribe and follow along.
Generally, a logo just needs to be simple. So most brands and business owners, they overthink the logo a lot. But in essence, it's just a visual identifier for a brand. That's it. It does not need to explain the entire business as soon as a person sees it. Think about Nike for a second and the swoosh that they have. It's very simple, it's sleek, but over the period of time, the identity that they have built around the Nike swoosh, it now identifies as a motion, as someone running, and there's an entire story behind a logo. If I had to pick three, I would pick simplicity. So it does not need to be very cluttered. Sure, there are logos in the world that have, like for example, the Starbucks of the world or many historical logos like Porsche. Like they are complicated logos. But as you see, a lot of these logos are kind of like simplifying right now. Let your story, the entire branding do the talking rather than just the logo doing all the job. The second important thing would be scalability and versatility. Because a logo needs to be scalable. It needs to look good on a very small icon, and it also needs to look good on a very big billboard. It needs to look good in black and white, and it also needs to look good in a brand color. So that's the second most important thing. And third, it needs to be functional and appropriate for a specific brand. It needs to go with that brand's story. So think about Airbnb and how they have incorporated that mini heart. As soon as you see it, it doesn't speak an entire story out loud, but it still has that functional element of being appropriate for that specific brand. It's still simple, it's still scalable, it's still versatile, and it also has a meaning behind it. Essentially what we're trying to crack with Sharmeeli. It doesn't need to speak the entire brand narrative all at once. It needs to be simple and it needs to still be appealing for the end consumers.
With the art direction now in place, the visual world of Sharmeeli is about to start taking shape. The tone is clear, the colors have been calibrated, and the brand finally has a personality it can grow into. And with that, Yogesh and Rahul take a step back to brief the creative team on translating this new direction into the first logo concepts for Sharmeeli.
So they liked it in the first go itself. Dekhte hi they were like, it's very nice.
I love the vibrancy.
Satisfied with
Yeah, absolutely.
Sharmeeli is a very long name, but we'll figure something out. We don't have to do just one.
Sharmeeli is a long name, you're saying? Is
Yeah.
one of the concerns. Domain क्या होगा बाबा? Shopsharmeeli.com है वो.
हाँ, Sharmeeli का label है, where Sharmeeli है, Sharmeeli by Amalta's है.
Is such a not Sharmeeli सही नहीं है?
We cannot kill the irony by talking about it, no?
तो Sharmeeli.in मिल जाएगा शायद मेरे हिसाब से फिर. .com तो मुश्किल मिलेगा. Hey Sharmeeli.com भी हो सकता है भाई.
Hello.
ज़्यादा हो गया सर.
Thank you.
Good morning, Sharmeeli.
Good morning Sharmeeli.
Are we doing SHARMILLI?
No. EELI.
EELI.
Yeah.
हम इसको हिंदी में भी करने वाले हैं क्या?
Logo में तो yes.
Even if we do the Hindi logo, it needs to be an extension of the brand, according to me at least. बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो नहीं पढ़ पाते हिंदी.
But मतलब English logo में थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा because of the words Sharmeeli.
हाँ.
No breaking it.
बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं पढ़ा जाता. मैं तो बस ये बताना चाहूँगा. नहीं पढ़ पाते ना. बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं पढ़ी जाती है. So again, I would like a version of the logo to be Indianized, but ऐसा नहीं करना. सिर्फ हिंदी लोगो बना दिया.
Gurbani and her designers now begin exploring the earliest forms of the brand, sketching, scribbling, and shaping Sharmeeli's identity from the ground up.
The art direction and the strategy are now locked in. which will bring us to the next step, which is the logo design. A very exciting step in the entire process. We have gotten the brief now. One, of course, will be to follow the art direction. Going a little rogue on the flowers is what I'm thinking right now. But other than that, we have to be following keywords and the other sort of traits that the brand has, which is it's handcrafted, it's still ethnic wear, it has that desi vibe to it. But how we will be making this unique is by making it sort of playing on the unconventional and the experimental and the modern side of the brand. We have a bunch of ideas because we're still in the initial sort of sketching stage. So one angle that we'll be playing with is how one of the letters can perhaps have some element, maybe a needle, maybe a thread, maybe the flower in some way, shape or form. So one idea we're really liking is eyes, because eyes are one of the main ways you kind of express yourself other than words. So we're thinking winks, we're thinking, maybe expressive through the eyebrows, maybe something like that, and how the flower can kind of play into that idea. Yeah, that's what we're at after the brief. So yeah, I'm also excited to see what it kind of turns into next.
So the first round of iterations are hand-drawn sketches, and we do this because it helps in making the creative juices flow. So this is a good exercise that we always begin with. Yeah, now we have some concepts that we can go over.
Yeah, interesting ones too. So I quite like the sensor feel to it. Again, we have a bold, playful brand. It's a floral brand. So flowers as sensors is it sounds interesting to me because we can do it with different words now, not just the logo. We can use it during the marketing collaterals in a lot of different places. So this stands out to me. I think this eye wink is interesting because again it highlights that Sharmeeli, the shyness, in a very juxtapositioned manner where it's a winking eye.
Yeah, the idea is there, but I'm not sure how feasible it is to execute it in the real world.
Yeah.
Because this would be an unbalanced logo for sure. This is something that I think closely relates with the brand, since we are called Sharmeeli, and Sharam is something that is generally seen in the eye. So pretty good mixture of what we are trying to do. So having a lot of floral elements, that is what we want to be doing, and we want to convey the Sharam angle to it.
The execution seems to be a little tricky because it's a illustration heavy logo, and our logo needs to be simple because it needs to be scalable.
Another concept is Sharmeeli written in Hindi, and now we are inverting the M part. So it's a combination of Hindi and English, and the M is represented by an inverted flower.
Yeah.
Interesting concept. Again, we'll have to see how do we pull this off.
A couple of people came up with the cutout element because again we're not Sharmeeli as a brand. So the cutout does feel very natural to the brand.
You only suggested this.
Yeah, I think as soon as I thought about Sharmeeli, I was like, it could be Sharmeeli with a cutout in the middle. But interestingly, these guys have gone for just cutting out Sharam. Again, could be interesting. Let's see.
When I heard it, it felt interesting, but now when I see it,
Yeah,
it doesn't look that great.
Agreed. Then there is this one with a leaf and a English sort of a version where half of the logo is Hindi and half is English. Again, on paper, I don't quite like how it's implemented right now, but I see a version in future where it's a half mixture of Hindi and English because it can feel like a desi brand. So I would definitely like to explore something with Hindi and English. But again, I have a major conflict that most people that we are targeting, they can't really read Hindi that well in India. I'm one of those people. Yeah, that's the only apprehension I have. So finally, we have these 6 concepts that we have shortlisted.
After reviewing the initial concepts, it's clear the direction is close, but we are not quite there yet. The core intent is intact, but the form still needs finishing. Gurbani and her team head back to the drawing board, this time with sharper feedback and clearer guardrails. Because now it's not about exploring possibilities, it's about arriving at the version of Sharmeeli that feels just right.
So we're just exploring Hindi fonts to see what kind of way it works, what kind of formation, do we need something sharper, do we need soft rounded fonts. We're also kind of exploring what style of flower we will be using right now. Will it be slightly more 3D? Will it be a flat flower? Where will the eye fit in? So this was one idea that we came up with. We're playing with the ease again. Maybe you'll have a flower, maybe you'll have a leaf. So we're kind of playing with eyes instead of the ease as well to see if that can work. We're not there yet, clearly. This one looks stoned. But yeah, we're kind of figuring that out. Here we have the censored version where we're kind of playing with the flower as like an asterisk or a censor icon. Here we're using a flower in the M and the M of the word to see how it can look. Yeah, so that's what we have right now. Those are the ideas we're exploring. I'm really leaning towards the idea of having a flower with an eye inside of it because I think the two factors that we're trying to solve for, one, the floral idea from the art direction, and second, the irony of Sharmeeli coming through the logo itself. Those two angles can kind of be tackled through this concept.
We have the first round of logos now.
Okay, so the Hindi-English thing, definitely, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. It has to be separated with this, the trippy flower. Right now, of course, it's a very initial concept, so the flower is very rough. It has a lot of pointed edges.
And since we have a name which has many characters, so it's difficult to find that right balance when you're using a mixture of Hindi and English. So this would definitely remain a bit off balance.
It needs to be hand drawn, it needs to be hand illustrated. Personally, I'm not apprehensive with how heavy the illustration is at this point, because again, these are like logo concepts first. But I want to see an eye that actually works, an eye with a flower. That's the whole concept. I need to see a refined version that can actually work for me to back this as an option. The E that we wanted to explore, these little petals that they have tried with E, interesting on paper, but the implementation makes the logo quite off balance. Even this one, which is the cleanest version, we'll probably have to scrap this one. The eye thing, if the eyes are too big, then it's very cartoonish. If it's too thin, then it's very off balance.
The cursive font lends too childish look to the logo.
We can be fun and vibrant, but not childish. So the problem with censor one is we have double E in Sharmeeli, and some people can also write Sharmeeli with M-I-L-I. So it's a problem if we censor all the vowels, then it's not readable right now.
People can have a lot of interpretations, and we want to keep things simple so that it's easier for people to understand. But the type that has been used, the strong, bold type, elongated ones, they are blending in nicely with what we want to communicate with the brand.
So the next one is the inverted M.
Again, we've tried a couple of concepts, some with complete Hindi, some with a mixture of English and Hindi. Hindi one still looks better than the English one.
Yeah.
But again, the problem is we want to be a pan-India brand, and if we just create a Hindi logo, a lot of people might not resonate with it.
The last one is the cut, the strike through option, which I don't know. I think that's the problem. It had to be a complete strike through, but again, we can't do that because readability.
Again, this would kill the whole ploy that we want to be working on, that we say we are Sharmeeli, but we play on the irony.
Yeah.
But if we use the strike through, then we are just killing that
It's
curiosity.
very obvious. Plus, the balance it's quite off.
To solve this problem quickly, we are joined by a new face, Shiv Shakti. Shiv's a brand designer at SimplePlan. His process is old school, intentional, and deeply focused on form. And now, with Shiv on board, the team is hopeful about cracking something that feels just right.
So when I had these 4 ideas. I knew that one had the most potential, but I also have to look at the other 3. One which was using the flower as an asterisk, it had many problems in terms of Sharmeeli as a word. When it's written in English, it would be very difficult for an Indian person to really figure it out. Okay, ye to Sharmeeli hi likha hai. And now in terms of the other ideas, which was using another kind of flower shape instead of a letter, because at this point if you're using it as just one letter, then maybe that could complete the sentence a bit more rather than using 2. Also this, in which we're using a simple flower, in which it could be used in both English and Hindi. The shape, I had to retain the same kind of style, but in terms of the flourishes, maybe it could be more or less. So from this we came to these ideas. One other was using these shapes. I started with E's, and उन E को मैं flower की जगह मैं butterfly भी अगर मैं दिखा सकूँ, that could also work, but this wasn't really working in terms of small sizes में, maybe it wasn't really working well. हमें ethnicity भी दिखानी है थोड़ी सी, but हमें वो modernness and chicness भी दिखानी है. So okay, ethnicity है, if it's a bit old then you have serif वाले fonts. तो ऐसा font ढूंढोगे जो maybe ज़्यादा geometric नहीं है, which has that flourish and which has those curves. So इसके अंदर as you can see there are sharp edges, but there are also softer forms which are a bit dynamic. ये thin से thick हो रहा है. ये हमारा, it was a tall font and was something that was really working with it. And ये उसका छोटा वाला version है.
The room is divided. Currently, I think Yogesh is liking one idea. He's really insistent on the Hindi-English version. We're kind of fighting that. But yeah, I really hope this concept kind of goes through. And this is the one we sort of finalize.
Logo concepts are initial explorations that are done by the team. There is something about putting pen to the paper. So we start off by doing some hand-drawn variations of the logo, and the best out of them are then shortlisted and designed digitally. These concepts lack the finesse of a finalized logo, but they are good enough to give the clients an initial idea of the directions that we want to be thinking about. And once a concept is locked in, the team then further refines it and makes sure that they are scalable and versatile. So when Apple started out, their logo was not a fully formed actual logo because it wasn't scalable and it was hideous. Then they moved on to a more minimalistic sort of a logo which can be scaled across black medium, white medium. Is also versatile, so it can be used as a small icon and it can be used on a big canvas as well.
We had to complete these logos like a couple of days ago, but we weren't reaching a final point.
And again, since we are running out of time, now our core focus is to just align in one direction so that we can focus on that direction only.
For the initial concepts, I think we are at a decent enough place, yeah?
Yeah, let's start with the first one.
I'm calling it the trippy eye officially.
It conveys the core emotions that we want to communicate with the logo, and actually this might be a little easier to again show to the client and tell what the team is thinking. Because if we go with the core logo, and sometimes it's hard for them to see how it can be represented in different forms in the future.
It can be expanded into various different flowers for various different seasons. It can have different colors, so the possibilities are endless. It can have an English version, Hindi version, so this one is a very strong concept according to me. Yeah, I know this is an illustration right now. We'll have to definitely fine tune this. The next one is the M1, where we have inverted it. Yeah, I think now that we have finished this one, I'm opening up to this one. As a concept, again, this can also work in Hindi, also in English. The M is kind of visible. To make it more visible, we'll have to explore more. That is something that we can do if the client also likes this direction.
We want alignment, that's what we are going after, because the Hindi version doesn't really look very nice. It doesn't represent the brand that we are building. But from a concept point of view, what we want to communicate, it encapsulates that.
The third one is the sensor one. So now we've reached a good point with the sensor one. Again, is it the strongest one now? When I look at all of them, probably not. But it is a lot more balanced. Yeah, we had to use it at just 2 places. That is a compromise we had to make, otherwise the word wasn't readable. If they like this concept, then I think we can explore the flowers a lot. This flower is okay for now, I think.
And again, I think it has lost its essence of the sensor thing that we want to talk about, since we also want to introduce the flower in the logo. It now looks a mixture of starfish and a flower. So yeah, I understand what the team wants to communicate, but in the long run, I'm not sure how feasible or how good this might look like.
The last one is a very exploratory sort of a concept. It's very raw with this butterfly and the eyes. It fulfills a lot of different criteria. It's a very interesting motif for the brand. In essence, like these 4 concepts will be taken to the client next. We'll be talking to them about what direction do they feel is right according to them as well. Projects which are as extensive as Sharmeeli, we take concepts to the clients so that we can then fully invest time into exploration of those specific concepts. Because if we continue to iterate and refine and take it to a finish line, then ideally this process would take weeks of time. The timeline is an issue, the budget is an issue, this project needs to run fast. So yeah, I think these are good concepts to take to the client in the first version. So we had to go and have the complete logo presentation with the client directly tomorrow. But turns out that our account manager has already sent the logo concepts to them. So they like one, which is a good sign. But we still want to have a discussion with them to understand how do we take this ahead.
टीजर दे दो हम लोगों को, फिर हम एक्सप्लेन करने लगते हैं हम क्या सोच रहे हैं. ये तुम देख चुके हो सारा डॉक्यूमेंट.
Multiple times. Like the first one.
Like the first one, this is what you're leaning towards. What do you like in words?
I feel that the eye and the juxtaposition that you have tried to portray, it's coming out really well. So Sharmeeli along with this eye, where I feel जो अभी मेरे को दिख रहा है उसमें तो I feel कि it's giving that coy look to me. So I believe that इसका recall बहुत अच्छा है. So as soon as I saw it, मेरे को ये जहाँ दिखेगा I will remember it. हिंदी वाला I'm just not sure. I know you like it, but I personally am not sure. Maybe क्योंकि मेरे को उतनी हिंदी अब आती ही नहीं है.
So that's the thing. That is why we didn't explore Hindi only concepts, because that is also something that we identified कि हिंदी पढ़ने में बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं आएगी समझ. तो अगर हिंदी concept होगा भी तो उसके अंदर English infused होगा and it will be interchangeable. So this, even if we use it like this, it will also have an English variation for sure.
But I love this flower. I love this flower and I love that eye inside it. And I feel like this brand is talking to me.
Like recall would be amazing. Just the eye has to improve a bit. Like you leading it to the person that probably it is not, probably the lady is high. Right? तो नशीली आंखें भी पोर्ट्रे कर रही हैं. थोड़ा ज़्यादा zoom in करके देखो तो लग रहा है हाँ शर्मीली है. वैसे ये bigger logo. Then I see, oh, because of the eyelashes, then it's giving me that look. From afar, it's only the eye. So नशीली आंखें ज़्यादा लग रही है शर्मीली से.
Concept of Sharmeeli and using an eye along with it, क्योंकि शर्माना is something that's more expressed by your face expressions and especially the eye. तो I think जो नाम के साथ भी जा रहा है, plus जो हमारा brand language है, जो हमारा theme है, I think it's going really well with it.
And now that the logo concepts have been approved, it's time for Shiv and Gurbani to make necessary adjustments to the concepts and turn it into a final logo.
So we had sent some options for the logo to the client, and the one that we were hoping for has been finalized. But the struggle kind of starts from here, because while the concept is really strong, both the elements, the eye and the flower, we still have to figure out how we will turn that current icon into a logo that is sort of scalable, that will work in all places. So we have 3 things that we have to figure out. One, will it be a flat 2D logo? We had to figure out, second, how will the eye look? Where will the eyelashes go? What will the sort of layers of the eyes be? The third thing we had to figure out was the petals and how, of course, ultimately all of this will come together, right? So we went through multiple rounds of iterations to figure out how this can be a strong and scalable logo. We explored how the division between the petals will be, how many petals there will be in the flower, because while the brand has a maximal sort of aesthetic, the logo cannot be chaotic. It needs to be clean, it needs to be simple. We figured out ultimately that we want to play with a 5-petal flower, and I think after 4 to 5 rounds, we finally hit the nail on the mark, and we have a logo, a 5-petal pink flower with an eye in the middle. Yeah, it's going to be a sassy eye and a clean flower. That's what we're going with ultimately.
Since the last problem statement we had was that the inner circle was very haphazard, so my first kind of ideating was how can we make that a bit more symmetrical, bit more flourishing. So from that I made a simplistic grid. We were using ratios of 2s, 3s, maybe a golden ratio here and there. Now we were trying out different petals, maybe it's symmetrical, but these were looking more like horns, so we kind of chucked that. And now we were trying out different eye positions, and we decided in the end that the center one works best. I could come up with different colors, so that gives an idea. We can experiment further, and this is not something that is very restrictive. So then we started juxtaposing it with this typeface, so it could work. It had a feminine form, it had sharp edges, but it also had like smooth flourishes, which was working with the idea that we had. So yeah, this was the entire process.
You liked where we landed with the Sharmeeli logo. It took a lot of back and forth and a team that really pushed to make this happen on a very tight timeline. I am super proud of how it turned out to be, but I really want to know what you guys think. So drop in your thoughts in the comments below. Love it, hate it, have better ideas. I'm all ears.
With one of the most defining elements now in place, we move into the next phase of building Sharmeeli, packaging design, while simultaneously laying the groundwork for the website and shaping the brand's go-to-market strategy. If you've enjoyed watching this process unfold, make sure to hit the bell icon, give this video a like, and explore the previous episodes to see how far we've come. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. This is Building an Indian D2C Brand.